I have to admit, one of the least exciting chapters, I mean, if you ask me, that there are in the Shulchan Aruch, and this is the laws of the udder. Why is it not exciting? Because who eats udder nowadays? What's the law of the udder? Udder has in it milk and meat. That's why God made cows, made people also. But human milk is not considered to be forbidden. Human milk, we learned that. It's only forbidden because of marit ayin. And if it's chalav zachar, remember we learned male milk. There's two different opinions if it's milk from a male animal or from a human being. In any case, that's an aberration. Here we have a normal thing, which all cows have milk.
Have you ever been to a place where they sell it, udder?
No. I never saw a place in the stores over here, they don't sell the udder. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a reason, maybe because it comes from the hind part of the cow, and we don't eat the hind part. I have no idea. But nevertheless, I never saw a place where they have udder. I never saw it sold. There's places where they sell even brain, and they sell this, but the tongue for sure. They never saw it. Anyway, but it is permissible to eat the udder of a cow. Permissible. Now, once you slaughter the cow, because you can't eat anything from the cow when the cow is alive, you have to slaughter the cow. So if you slaughter the cow properly, then you can eat parts of the cow. If you want to boil it, you have to salt it first, or you can roast it also without salting it. But if you want to eat the udder, you got a problem. What's the problem? The udder is milk and meat. Now, it's true that the milk we learned before, if you remember, we learned chalav misa. We learned milk that comes from a dead animal. Do you remember we learned that? We learned in their Pei Zion. We learned chalav misa. Where was that? It was law number. Chalav misa. Here it is. Vav. Law number Vav. So we have the milk that comes from a dead animal. So this milk is not forbidden from the Torah. This is not the milk and meat that's forbidden from the Torah. It's only forbidden from the rabbis. But like we've said many times, and I'll say it many more times, the laws of the rabbis have the same power and importance as the laws of the Torah, because God told the rabbis to make laws. It's just that the rabbis decided that their laws in many aspects would not have the same stringency as the Torah in many ways, if you have a doubt and things like this. Okay, but if I say something that's forbidden from the Torah, for our purposes, God says it's forbidden, okay? But there are certain leniencies that the rabbis made themselves in these laws to make a difference, distinction between laws from the Torah and laws from the rabbis. But in fact, like I say again, the laws of the rabbis are from the Torah. They are directly from God, just like Moses gave it. Okay, ready? Let's go. Siman Tzaddik. Siman Tzaddik. Okay, this has in it 4 laws, and it's pretty long, actually. It's pretty long. And that's why it's not, so really interesting, but it's God's will. So let's learn it. Ready? A kachal. Kachal means the udder. Asur midivrei sofrim. It is forbidden to eat from divrei sofrim. Why? Why only from the divrei sofrim? Divrei sofrim means from the rabbis. Because basar shenid bashal, meat that was boiled, v'chalav shchuta, in the milk of a dead animal. We call it chalav misa, but chalav shchuta, the same thing. This milk, if you boil meat in milk that has come from an animal after the animal died, it is not forbidden from the Torah. Lefichach, therefore, if you want to cook a udder, you decide for whatever reason you're not experienced enough in life, and you want to have the experience of eating milk from an udder, you can do it. But karo or merko, you have to cut it open and pour out the milk that's in it, and then it will be permissible to soloso, to roast it over an open fire, and the open fire that will take out the milk that is in it. And then you can eat it. Okay, so what do? You tore it open, you poured out the milk that's in it, and from the udder, and then you roast it. So if there's any milk left in it, the roasting will take out the fire. But if you take this udder and you slash it length and width, and then you push it like against the table or something, or it says against the wall, so that it'll drip down until there's not any liquid whatsoever, then you can even boil it. And you can even boil it with other meat. What do you mean other meat? Because this had milk in it, right? So it had milk in it. So now you can boil it with other meat. So what do we have up to now? If you want to just roast it, you want to roast it alone. So what do you have to do? You just cut it and pour out whatever milk you can, and then roast it, and the fire will draw it out. What if, for whatever reason it is, you want to add this udder to your cholent, with there's other meat there? So then you have to make more effort to take out the milk, and you have to cut it length and width, and then press it against a wall or something like that, squeeze it, so that all the milk comes out. Then you can boil it with other milk. Boil, of course, you have to salt it first. If you want to boil it, you got to salt it. Or you can roast it. You could roast it also. Roasting is the same thing as salting. In some ways it's better. Ukachol shalo karo. What about a udder that you want to use it whole? You did not cut it. Now you can ask a question. What do you mean you didn't cut it? How do you get it off of the cow? We'll talk about that. Bein shel katana, whether the udder was from a small animal that never suckled a baby, didn't have any babies. Bein shel gadola, if you did not slash it and pour out the milk, it's forbidden to boil it at all. The im over babishlu, but if you did boil it, a whole udder with the milk inside of it, boil it by himself, then it is permissible to eat it. Oh, how is it permissible to eat it? And if it's permissible to eat it, why? Because we say what happens that the milk that's inside it goes out and it doesn't come in. We'll learn especially if you have 60 times water in the whole thing, so it goes out. The udder itself, together with the water, will be 60 against the milk. It's inside. Anyway, if you boil it alone, it will be permissible to eat this udder. The imbashal imbasar, but what if you take a whole udder and you boil it together? You didn't cut it, you didn't take out the milk, you boil it together with other meat, then you got problems. Misharim oto b'shishim, then you have to estimate if you have 60, the kachal mina minyan, if you boil it with other meat, then you have to have 60 in the whole business against the milk. So what do? We suppose that the udder is 100% milk. Let's say the udder is 1 pound. So we suppose that this 1 pound of udder, or 1 quart of udder, is 1 quart of milk, because we don't know how much milk is in there. So we suppose it's 1 quart of milk. So now you boil this 1 quart udder with a bunch of other meat, and you got water in there and vegetables and all sorts. And the rabbi says, what are you doing? He says, I'm boiling up this udder over here. Milk is only forbidden from the rabbis anyway, and I'm boiling it. So the rabbi says, listen, my friend, you shouldn't have done that. But because you did, now you have to have 60 against the milk. Oh, that's pretty bad. 60 against the milk. I don't know if I have 60 gallons in quarts. He says, well, listen, that's bad, but there's sort of good news, and that is that the udder itself, the meat, we consider it to be 100% milk, but we also consider it to be 100% meat. So therefore, you don't have to have 60 against this. All you have to have is 59. 59 quarts of anything that's not milk. Water, potatoes, corn, carrots, and other pieces of meat, and the udder itself. So all you have to have is 59 times against the estimated amount of milk which is in it, which the estimated milk is 100%. Suppose the whole thing is made of milk. Then if you do that, im a kachal, together with the kachal, you have to have 60 times against the kachal. If you don't have it, the kachal is forbidden. But Only the kachal is forbidden because it's close to the milk, and everything else is permissible. I'm sorry, one second, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. If you do have 60 and everything all together, right, then everything else is permissible, but that kachal is forbidden. If you don't have 60, then the whole business is forbidden. In any case, im nafal lekadera acheres, if you boiled a kachal with other meat, even if there was 60, and then you took that kachal, the whole thing, you took it out, and it fell into another pot, then now you have a problem. This is called milk and meat together. It makes the other pot forbidden. You estimate it in 60, just like the first one. Why? Because the kachal itself, we'll go over this law. The kachal, the udder itself, when you boil it, it becomes chatichata iser. We hinted at this before. It becomes what we call chaticha nasa nevela. The ein misharim bo elo kamot shehu be'etchin is bashal, not as it was when it fell. All right, we'll go over this law. I just wanted to get our teeth into this, not our teeth, God, into this law. Okay, what's going on over here? We have a very interesting law. God purposely made cows that they give milk. Cows eat milk, and milk is forbidden with meat. True, after you slaughter this cow, the milk is no longer forbidden from the Torah, it's forbidden from the rabbis, but we treat it as the same thing. Now, if you, let's just take the worst case, you cook this kachal without pouring out the milk, without cutting it, then the kachal is always going to be forbidden. Even if you cook it in a pot that has 1,000,000 times of meat against it, so it's got more than 60, and everything is permissible, but this kachal is forbidden. Why? Because it's milk and meat together, and they were right together. And we don't say that the milk just sort of is evenly distributed in the whole pot. No, that milk hit the kachal first. We want to call it isur davuk. So anyway, so that kachal is now forbidden. Oh, but now it's not really. Now it's really forbidden. What does it mean? It's really forbidden. The whole kachal becomes like a big piece of treif meat. Before, the kachal was considered to be 1, let's say, gallon of milk and 1 gallon of meat. So the kachal itself would go to negate the meat, the milk that was inside of it. So now you don't have to have 60 against the kachal. All you have to have is 59, because the kachal itself, the meat, will add up to negate the taste of the milk inside of it. But in any case, even if there is 60, that kachal is forbidden, and it becomes a nevela. It becomes a piece, it's, want to call it like a piece of pork. The whole entire thing becomes 100% usher, and you can never make it permissible. That's a general law we're going to learn in Taruvos, that once something becomes forbidden, it can never become permissible again, except for if it's like mixed into 2 or something. We'll talk about that. So we are now beginning, we have now put our foot in the door of the laws of kachal, and we are not going to be very exact about these laws, because I would like to continue on and learn things a little bit more practical, and nevertheless, it's interesting. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow, 8:15 in the morning.